Hey, how you guys doing? As you can see, things look pretty different, don't they? Took me almost a day to unpack, but it's my new home. I pretty much like it. So, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you guys of how it was that I almost became homeless. It's one of the biggest life changes I've ever experienced. But here's the story. It goes back to around August, where my landlord, my former landlord, he wanted to do a little bit of an inspection around the apartment. Well, in Skipback, of course. We thought that he was going to renew the lease and stuff, and what was happening was I let him in. He took a look around the place, and he noticed like my brother's like his pit bull and stuff. He carelessly like brought him down to us while he left to join the army, which didn't look really good for the inspection. He was also complaining that the place smelled of dog and stuff, and uh, when that was over, my mom was like kind of begging him just to let us stay, and he was like, "Well, um, I'll give you my final decision tomorrow morning." As soon as he said that, I knew we were in some serious trouble. So the next morning, my fears were realized when I received a text message from my landlord, basically saying that non-renewal of lease. It was in my brother's name. For various reasons, I've decided not to renew the lease. Please vacate the premises by September the 30th. And immediately when I got that message, I called him. And to him, I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And he said basically, "Well, I thought about this for a long time." We exchanged words for like a few minutes and stuff. And he basically said to my mom, basically, "It's time for us to move on. It's just business." His response, I just couldn't believe it. Like, and as soon as I finished crying, of course, I immediately called one of my friends who I go to church with, who I'm amazing friends with. And she basically said okay, just let your church group know what's going on and we'll help you find a place to live. I did just that. I was informed that they'll help us find a place to go, and basically, when we do, they're going to help us like move our stuff. So we didn't have to worry about, running a moving truck in that, which was good. So I immediately started packing up my stuff. I immediately started looking for places. My mom was kind of in shock and stuff for all this, and was so down the dumps. So she didn't really cooperate as much. I made some appointments to one apartment I looked at by myself, but there were too many stairs, and it just wouldn't look good for my mom. So I decided not to go there. So then I looked up a few people of my coworkers and mentioned this place. This is the town of Royersford, where I was raised in, where I grew up. So I made the appointment, and my mom and I looked around the place. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. And the neighborhood's really nice. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really quiet, so much better than Skipback in some ways. But here was the issue. The issue is credit. If you have no credit or bad credit, you have to put a lot of money down so they are convinced that you can pay the rent each month. What they wanted, as I mentioned before in a previous video, that they wanted $3,800. And I was like, oh, we're never gonna find a place. So, and we were trying to like apply for like financial assistance groups. Like we tried calling the Montgomery County Housing Authority, all that stuff. And of course, obviously, it didn't help. But what we were advised to do was to call my pastor. And I was like, how is my pastor going to help us? But out of desperation, I gave him a call and I explained to him our situation. And he was like, all right, we'll see what we can do to help you out. And my prayers were answered when they went over our financial, like, records and stuff just to make sure that we can put a place down each month. It's $300 more than what we previously paid for it in skip back, but we can still do it. We can still do this place. And they they mailed the check to the apartment building, and we pay. They helped us with last month's rent. We paid for first month's rent and the pet deposit, and we signed the lease here and there, and then like that, they helped us move here. Um, but it wasn't really a cakewalk because my own landlord tried to make things complicated for us. See, the woman who works for this place, she wanted our renter's history, so she tried calling him, and he was. See, I knew what he was going to try and do, so I told her there was damages to the place, and I was concerned that he was going to try and mess things up for us. So I told her everything before he could. Not to mention, he forced us to pay like the rent for September and stuff, and I wasn't going to do it, but he threatened to lock us out, and I just couldn't. I'd never dealt with somebody so arrogant and greedy all my life. He made us pay for this month's rent, but I had to do it because it was the right thing to do. Now, I can't even begin to tell how grateful I am for my church, for what they've done for me and my mom. Like, if I never went to church or had a family of Christ, I would be in a shelter or on the streets right now. And I want to thank my church group, my entire church, and I want to thank you guys for all your emotional support and your prayers. I can't begin to tell you guys how grateful I am. And I seriously hope that no one goes through what we did, ever. I mean, this year, as I mentioned before, was pretty bad. You know, my buddy Woven, like months ago, he went through stuff just as bad as I did. I told him, you know, Woven, I think we're linked together because of how bad this year was to us both. And he told me, you know what, Cal? I think you're right. So, where do we go from here? Well, basically, we're going to get rid of the car. We made a few like financial cuts and stuff. Just put money aside each month. Just God forbid if this ever happens again. But you know, God, I'm in God's hands. You know, He always has plans, or I've been told that. I'm still going to go to cons and all that stuff. Thankfully, like no matter what, it's never going to stop me from doing what I want to do, especially be a furry. But again, thank you guys for your prayers. Thank you, church, and thank you, God, for protecting us. Because I was so scared. All right, guys. So I'm going to cut this short. For those who watched, I appreciate your support. I hope to see you guys soon. See you later.